It's all about casting that pod, man.
Dude, sometimes you gotta cast that pod. Hey! This is podcast number...
Oh, God.
7?
Well, I think this is technically number 6, because last week we had a podcast, we even had a special guest and everything, and somebody, we're not gonna name names, but somebody forgot the microphone. We tried to use a different mic and it didn't really work. But, again, I'm not trying to blame anybody, but somebody did forget the microphone.
So this is episode 6-2?
Yes, like Final Fantasy X-2. So this is podcast 6-2, Lightning Returns.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So be broody.
You have a special guest?
Yes, Lightning's here. You can say something, Lightning. No, you're just gonna sit there? That's fine. Whatever.
So you are...
Oh, yes, we should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Stu.
Andy.
Tim.
As usual.
No
other special
guests. No special guests this week. We'll get one next week. We got Lightning here. I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
She's kind of quiet.
She doesn't
I forget
talk.
that she's here.
She only looks at her phone anyways.
Do you have any hobbies, Lightning? Oh, that's fine. Hey, let's do our theme song here.
Yeah.
Let's do. So, for anybody who's jumping in at podcast number 6-2, we read fan fiction at the beginning of all of our podcasts, but we've only read good ones. As you're about to see.
The absolute best.
Lightning, you want to start this one? No, okay. I guess I'll start this one. So this one's called A Very Shronic Thanksgiving. I keep wanting to say a very Shronic Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
It makes me think of the word chronic.
Yeah. Well, this one might have something to do with that. Okay. Fiona, why are you still in my relationship? Shrek said with a shake. Oh, it's Shrek. So I should have a crappy British accent or something.
I wouldn't even try. Personally, I wouldn't try.
Okay, personally, okay.
Fiona, comma. So Fiona says, we have children, but I fear they may not be yours.
Who do you? Shrek boomed with a voice so gruff, punching donkey.
That sounds like a short, like you're saying something else. Oh, I was punching the donkey this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, just
keep punching that donkey.
Yeah. It was, Fiona drugged out, Sonics.
Sonics
Sonics with an X, not...
Tennessee.
Okay, for anyone who hasn't caught on, the crossover here, A Very Shronic Thanksgiving, is Shrek and Sonic. With a horribly spelled Sonics there.
Well, and then in the next line, not Sonic, with a C, properly, Shrek ogred. That's my least favorite! Shrek picked up Donkey and beat the front door down with it, even though he was inside, and stomped off into the night.
Shark, I'm leaving you, Fiona whistled.
Shark?
I think whoever wrote this is just messing with us at this point.
I'm liking it, though. Shrek was deaf to Fiona's bitching. He was too sad, T.O. That's it. He had to find Soinic, S-O-I-N... Soink, and give him a piece of his mind. He whipped on his kilt and thong.
Meanwhile, at Sonic, Amy was baking crack as she rolled some flat blunts. She cooed out, Sonic, are you sure this is the best way to make money?
Sonic, who was busy giving Tails the time of his life, shook his head. Trust me, hummy.
Oh no.
Sonic yelled through Tails' gooey D-word. I went to a college down by the creek. I think it was called Wendy's.
Tails looked skyward, remembering the good old days, as he let loose his farming techniques into Sonic's oviviposture?
Ovipositor?
Ovipositor? What?
That's a female reproductive part?
I don't even think so. Whoa, slow down there, said Shrek. Sonic coughed and sputtered like a broken juice mixer.
Because we all know what a broken juice mixer is like.
Apparently.
Oh no, said Tails, as he found himself with a penile tear from from Sonic's head jerk back. Wreck! What?
It's supposed to be the word name Shrek again.
But wreck with a W. What are you doing here? Just you. Single you.
I came to take my woman back. B-A-K-C, said Shrek, taking hold of Amy's. Just Amy's wife. Just Amy's.
No, okay.
It's Amy's with a possessive, apostrophe, but it's just Amy's. Taking Amy's.
Huh. Why are you doing this? Asked Sonic, inquisitive.
Because you humped my Fiona, Shrek deranged, still choking Donkey. I don't think deranged is a...
Yeah!
Shrek deranged.
Shrek deranged. Still choking Donkey.
Apparently.
Shit happens, man. Sonic excused.
Amy was mortified. Her head was right next to Donkey's mug. Get me out of here! Exclamation point.
Sonic was sad. That's mine. He whined like a dumb little shithead.
Shrek looked in the Sonic direction. Suddenly, the blue beauty seemed much more appealing. Sonic, Shrek moaned, dropping both the mutilated corpse of Donkey and the mutilated emotions of Amy. Shrek grasped his ogre penis, one word, ogre penis, with his ogre hands, one word, ogre hands. Wow.
Do you feel the boner?
Sonic spit the chunk of Tails' foreskin that he had gotten lodged between his teeth out. Not yet. He, period. Not yet. He, period. What?
Shrek slammed his D on the sink. Hold on, I gotta wash up.
Why are you still censoring this?
I'm gonna censor it. This is gonna be safe for work. No, it's not.
No,
you're doomed. If you're listening to this at work, you're fired.
No time for that. Sonic bounded up Shrek's side and grinded into his armpit, thus leaking out of Donkey, or pus leaking out of Donkey.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Tails looked erectly at Donkey. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh God. He found a hole. The whole scene was hot, and there's actually period there. We're just gonna leave it at that. I can't go further.
You can't.
No, I can't go further with that sentence. That part. You can do the next line.
Okay.
It doesn't seem as bad.
Fiona kicked the door in with her boob. Yeah, because that works. Hello, my darling Sonic. I'm here for something. Not the word something. Something. Separate words. For once.
Sonic was a busy bee with his arm up Shrek's plump hole. Shrek was still trying to wash his onion with little results. Unsuccess! He yelled, throwing the towel down in frustration. Unsuccess! I'm gonna yell that when I mess something up now.
Fiona, your ham is leaking! Shrek screamed in terror.
Fiona covered her mighty breast. What? This is between you and me. Sonic didn't say that. Fiona said that.
Tails looked up in Fiona's skirt in surprise, covered in ass mung. Man, what a week. In W-E-A-K. What a week.
Oh God. Amy was in the oven.
Just cause.
Just cause.
Everyone finished up and gathered around the table for a feast. Amy's cooked flesh and Donkey D provided an interesting Thanksgiving. Group went around the table saying what it was they were having thank for. Or having a thank for.
Having a thank for. Sonic began. I'm thankful for being surrounded with so many people willing to have sex with me.
Shrek continued. I'm thankful for being an ogre.
I'm thankful for Sonic, said Tails.
I'm thankful for being Sonic serious.
Sonic serious. Oh man. I'm thankful for all these wonderful areas Fiona added.
I'm thankful I still have one of my feet Amy finished. They're eating her.
Donkey said nothing, because he was dead.
Let's chow down, Fiona belched. They gnarled and gnawed at Donkey. Amy ate her own foot.
The end.
What the hell did we
What the hell did we just read?
So it was grammatically correct enough that you knew this guy, he was putting intentional grammatical mistakes, right?
See, I feel like it, yeah, like this was intentional.
Like the obvious, like, wreck for Shrek, like there's...
Yeah, there were some very obvious ones, but then there were so many of just the little off, like Sonic Serious.
I think that was a joke, like...
Yeah, I think
this was someone doing a parody.
I think it was, yeah.
More so than normal for fan fiction.
I don't know, that was weird. I didn't...
That said, there are some very weird, very serious fan fictions out there.
Yeah.
That I have read and will never speak of on this podcast. And
not normally with that much good punctuation, because there wasn't much missing.
The thing to start wondering, because I don't really like reading ahead of time the fan fictions that we're gonna read, because I kind of like reacting naturally to them, but sometimes like this one kind of does make me think maybe we should have a bit of a screening process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like what...
Maybe there should be
initially
someone
picked.
who isn't going to be here who screens.
Now we gotta hire outside people.
Yeah.
Oh,
that money
I don't know if our budget can.
Well, just ask
can
Lightning.
afford it. Lightning, can you screen? Nothing.
No Gil?
She just kind of shrugs.
You don't have any
No Gil.
Any Gil.
What is? Well, if we take our budget, think about all that money that we have from YouTube and all that. What do you think what do you think? How much Gil do you think we have? Like, if we were to convert it to Gil, that's the word I'm trying to say.
I was gonna say a couple mil, but I'm not sure.
Here we got a couple mil Gil.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Couple mil Gil?
Couple mil Gil. Could be.
I'm not sure if it works that way. Because you buy a Final Fantasy game in which you earn money.
Wait,
so you're already at. So it's like your negative money is Gil. So I don't. And you invest time.
I don't get what you're saying at all. Do you get what you're saying? I'm lost.
I'm saying you spend money in to get this fictional.
Like in the MMO. Yeah, because I was gonna ask, can you spend money in Final Fantasy 14 to get Gil?
Through third-party sites who then probably hack your account and you're fucked.
Okay, cool.
So yes, if you want to lose your account, you
and money, real life money too. That's
right,
cool.
That too. Yeah. Only I don't remember what the last rate I saw because they love to try to spam general chat. Like we've got and talk about grammatical errors and.
I guess that's
that makes you look more human.
I guess that's
you're a bot.
I guess that's the one thing that I like about playing the beta of Elder Scrolls Online was none of those messages that immediately go to level 1 places, get your character instantly to level 80,
Not yet. That's just the beta.
Yeah, not
That's
yet.
why.
That's the nice thing about playing the beta, is what I'm saying.
Only play betas and you should be fine.
Yeah. I only play betas, once they go mainstream, it's too mainstream.
Too mainstream.
For mainstream, Ugh.
MMOhipster.com.
It's just
Still playing Hello Kitty.
So yeah, what have you guys been playing this last week, video game wise?
Dark Souls 2.
So we're gonna be a podcast that talks about Dark Souls.
Well, I won't be able to talk too much about it since I don't want to spoil anything for you, Stu.
Appreciate it.
So, yeah, Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2. Well, speaking of Dark Souls 2, we posted this week's. There's Drunk Souls, which is me playing Dark Souls. Pretty drunk.
I would say you blacked out, right?
I blacked out towards the end.
Pretty drunk.
So there's stages throughout because I recorded probably about an hour and a half footage, and the first 5 40 minutes is me just kind of like teaching people how to play the game, but if I do something wrong, I just act like I did it on purpose. There's an extreme level of confidence. Then there is confusion because I continue drinking, and you can just kind of tell where I just kind of start going off like the deep end a little bit, and then I just get angry or something, and like by the end of it, I'm just like, you can just tell I have no energy. I am just completely drunk.
I forgot how angry Blackout Stu gets.
It's not like angry like I was like yelling or anything. It's just like, okay, so then you gotta go over. I think it just ends with I'm done, and like that, like I just turned off everything.
At least you didn't like pass out.
Yeah, and just record until the hard drive got full. Thank God.
And then your character got invaded over and over.
No. Luckily, I don't think I've.
You turned off the.
No. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but
okay.
I do go human at one point, and I have like, why did I do that? it's kind of what I like about this series is I'm watching it and I am as engaged as a person would be watching it because I don't entirely remember why I did the things that I did.
I want to see you beat the game drunk.
I feel like I can do it because I got surprisingly far for how inebriated I was.
It should be an achievement.
Yeah, right?
Steam achievement, yeah.
Steam achievement.
How would it be able to tell?
You have to post the video and then they cipher through it. And
no,
make sure
you get a USB breathalyzer you have to blow into every hour
there
when
you
playing
go.
the game. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll send it to you. It's only like $25.
Yeah, there you go.
But you have to mail it back when you're done.
I did have an idea for like a series or like a video or something like, drunk driving is a horrible, horrible thing, but playing driving games while drinking is an entertaining thing to see because, you see why you shouldn't drive drunk and all that. Because you just start driving so poorly in these kind of games. I had a friend who was playing, it was whatever the PlayStation Forza is. Why can't I think of it?
Drive Club?
No.
Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had a friend, she was playing, she got screwed up, got turned around, and just started doing the race backwards, and she just couldn't handle it, and then she just drove into a wall, and like that was it. It's like, but I thought it'd be an interesting video if we got like a breathalyzer or something, and just like, throughout the course of it, just like, drank more and more and more, and like, compared like how poorly we would do over time. Like we just did the same track over and over.
Then just cut in, sort of, like do the whole first like normal lap, and then like cut in with the blood alcohol level, and then the ending time, and like the last like a few clips of the lap, the blood alcohol level and ending time, and then do that for each
for each
subsequent lap.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
You just do like one lap once. You do it on like a semi-difficult, like not impossible track, but and just kind of see how it goes.
Laguna Seca has that ridiculous turn that no one can get right anymore. It's because it's an S curve that goes up and over the top of a hill, and it really messes with people.
I think I've done that one. I haven't played a lot of Forza though. That could be an interesting video.
Yeah, I feel it could.
Yeah, so that's my thought.
I'm always up for Forza. I'm really good at it.
Yeah, you're actually on like, or at least you were on like leaderboards and stuff, right?
Yeah, I haven't played Forza 4 in a long time, and I don't have the ability to play Forza 5. So,
Forza 4 is better, I've heard.
Yeah,
doesn't look as pretty, but
yeah, there's limitations to 5 that kind of cut it down. But like with 4, if they have good support in DLC cards, it's not a bad thing, except that it costs more money.
Right.
But yeah, for a while there, I had like top 100 times on a lot of leaderboards for various tracks and various classes.
That's pretty good because I don't I think we talked about this before. I don't think I've ever been higher than like 50,000 on a leaderboard.
My proudest one, I think, it was a board with 360,000 posted times, and it's one I didn't break into the top 100, but I was like 103.
That's pretty good.
And it was literally just sitting there for 3 hours and doing the same track over and over until I really got the hang of it and tuning that car.
Well, and Forza also has the sands of time, right? Where you can like be driving, I screwed up this turn, and then like and you couldn't do that for the time, but you could do that for practice, right?
I never did because if you leave that on, it's very easy to accidentally
hit it.
to accidentally hit the button, in which case you invalidate your time immediately.
Right.
Because you paused. So how Forza works is it has validated times and invalidated times. Validated times always sort above invalidated times of the leaderboards, and there are a ridiculous number of really stupid things that can invalidate your time. Things like any damage to your car will invalidate your time, which, in like a real world racing scenario isn't really true. That doesn't mean that you can't necessarily hit something, because it's possible to, when it's not a vehicle, whenever you hit another vehicle, always does damage for some reason. But you can hit barriers very lightly, and I've done it. I've had some races where I hit multiple barriers throughout the race, where I drifted kind of out of a corner and just barely tapped the barrier as I was coming out. And if it's light enough, it won't register as damaging. Other things like drafting, like if you draft behind a car, which is a legitimate racing technique, right? And you draft just long enough to get a discernible benefit, the game invalidates your time. So you have to intentionally drive around other cars such that you can't draft off them.
Can you just turn off other cars?
No, you cannot. You can only set lap times in races with other cars. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. Now, fortunately, drafting in that game is relatively difficult to get a discernible benefit from. But on some tracks that are really high speed, it's literally impossible to set a clean time without, slowing down before the straightaway and letting cars pass you or something like that. There's some places, some tracks where it is impossible to properly set a time. The only way that it is discernibly possible is to try something like a multi-class race, wherein you have half the field of cars start ahead of you, and they're all much faster, like a class or two above the car that you're driving, in which case they pull away really quickly. As long as you pull away from your field, then you're chasing these guys that are much faster, and they're usually on long enough tracks that you won't end up lapping your own
And
guys.
your time will count and something like that?
Your time will count in a lot of those.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Depending, but they'll at least count for that game mode. Although I think that one counts for another game mode as well, for setting times. But I'm not
sure. I asked this question the other day to a few people, and we may have your answer right here. But what video game, and it's kind of by your definition of what you think this is, do you think that you are is your game that you're best at? Just not that, you're the best in the world, but of all games that you have played, what game are you best at? And it's by your own definition of that.
It's tough.
Yeah. See, this guy is always asking the tough questions.
So many games.
Me? Hello Kitty Puzzle Island.
Puzzle Island?
I'm really good at Puzzle Island.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Game my best at.
What game are you best at?
I'm going to say tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe. Ooh,
Can never lose.
Never win either. No, I put my vote down as, I've been kind of thinking about this one. I'm really good at, Devil May Cry, though I don't know if, like the newer one, but I don't, I haven't really tried to go for, higher leaderboard stuff. I'm thinking about doing that, though, because I love that game.
But fun set of videos of you on the road of...
It's just me doing one level over and over and trying to figure out how... there are some levels I do, and it's I think I do really, really well, and I get a pretty decent score, and my score is a drop in the bucket compared to the top guys. I'm what the hell am I doing wrong? What? It's crazy.
It's so annoying, any guy with leaderboards, and you're oh, I did great, and it's the hell?
Yeah, somebody just blew you out of the water. I would say either Devil May Cry or I'm good at Left 4 Dead. And that's a different sort of good, because I'm not necessarily a great shooter, but I know that game's mechanics really well, that if you throw me into a party of people, I can kind of do some good call-outs and, choose some right stuff. because I play that game. I used to play that game all the time, even if nobody else was around. Nobody hates the AI more than me. Some people could think, who might be listening to this, no, I hate the AI more than Stu. You don't. You're wrong. Yeah, I would probably say I'm better at Left 4 Dead. More specifically, Left 4 Dead 2, than I am at Devil May Cry. But
I think I have one, just because of the sheer amount of time I put in, and so knowledge that I gained.
Okay.
And that'd be World of Warcraft. Yet I haven't played in like the last 2 years. My cousin started playing again, and I can even still give him advice or know what's going on, just because I think that's the game that I got best at.
How long did you play World of Warcraft for? Like, kind of on and off?
I think 6 or 7 years. I think it's been out 8 or 9.
Did it track hours?
Oh, no, that's just, they did track in-game hours, and I cannot tell you exactly, but I know some of my characters had months on in-game time on that one character.
Well, I remember in high school, freshman year, talking to you, and you were telling me about World of Warcraft, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool, but whatever. And you were telling me about this game, and holy crap, did it just stick around. I was surprised that game got as big as it did.
Because I really like Warcraft 3, and I remember playing Orcs vs. Humans, which is 2 or 1?
Both?
Both? Are they both the same title? Orcs vs. Humans?
Oh, I think they both have Orcs and Humans.
No. One of them was titled that, I thought.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways, I played at least 2, and then I played a lot of 3 in the expansion, so I was like, I liked the universe a lot. And so when the MMO was coming out, I'm like, yes. And it's like, this is going to be great.
And it came along at, like, the perfect point in time.
Yeah,
for the first big MMO to actually work.
Well,
before that, like, technically, there were reasons why they wouldn't have worked well.
Well, there were other good ones. It's just they were more time synced and I think a lot more effort and time to put in.
Well,
this eased it. This made it not like an easy mode initially, but they made it easier to get into this type of game.
I remember around the release of World of Warcraft, EverQuest 2 came out.
Oh yeah,
and the thing about EverQuest 2 was like EverQuest was the big MMO
that
prior
was one big
to that,
one.
And people your beginning stages in EverQuest 2 are very like you're in a sewer, kill rats. Like they're not exciting at all. And the beginning of World of Warcraft is, kind of the same thing, but they make it have this, grander feel to it. Like, we need you to collect this for the war. Like, there are times where you're playing World of Warcraft and you would forget that it's an MMO because the story kind of almost seems kind of tailored to you if you're playing through the story mode.
Yeah. And they have their
faults. Of course, every
faults.
Single person's going through that.
Yeah, but it just seemed like they made it easier. And I remember first expansion I really liked, and prior, so vanilla mostly, and then the first expansion. To me, it retained that, I spent a lot of time, but not as much as pre-WoW, but, I still spent a lot of time and effort. We had big 40-man raids, and it felt epic. I know a lot of people don't miss, that grand feel of the 40-man raids, because I guess, it was too hard to try to coordinate, blah, 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 but people like bitching anyway, so I don't know if people are just hating it because they can, but I liked that feel because I felt more accomplished. And that's one reason why I really love Dark Souls is because when you beat something, you feel so accomplished.
Yeah.
And vanilla WoW had that, whereas current WoW, you can almost literally face roll. So take your face, put it on your keyboard, and roll it around, and you would probably still not lose. And that's one thing I like about Final Fantasy XIV is a lot of their dungeons have enough difficulty that you feel accomplished when you beat it.
Yeah, well, there's a rule in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's and this is what I take as this is game design 101. It's
this is for D&D?
Yeah, this is for D&D.
Okay.
You should make a quest or a battle hard enough that it challenges the player, but not so hard that it kills them.
Right.
And that's and use that as a metaphor or whatever. Dying in video games isn't as big of a deal as dying in Dungeons and Dragons, but yeah. All right, so we got World of Warcraft from Tim. We got Left 4 Dead 2 from Stu.
Yeah.
What do we got from Andy over here?
It's a little boring on skill. I think it does.
Solitaire.
I think it does have to be
Sniper
Forza.
Elite.
Forza? Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Um,
That's a good game to be good at, though.
but that's only it's because there are a lot of games where you can compare your skill with leaderboards like that. So I know I was good at it. There are other games where I'm not sure. So another one that I've never really like fully tested is just playing chess. So
You're horrible.
yeah, I'm
Dreadful.
terrible.
I already know.
Yeah. But for a long time, I played daily move games online, where you make a move every 24 hours, alternating with an opponent who then has 24 hours.
I thought you said moo.
Move.
Daily Moo.
Daily
Yeah,
move.
you play chess with cows, right?
Yeah.
Cows are really good at chess. That's just science.
Okay.
Yeah. All the pawns are cows, and you milk them every day.
Hey, Skype.
How's it going?
There's a... No, well, think about it. What color are cows? Black and white. What color is a chessboard?
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Just nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you were saying?
Move board.
Move board.
But anyways, while I was playing that for, I think it was like a year and a half straight, with an opponent or two at a time, I always played as black, which is the disadvantaged side, because you move second, and I never lost a game, and I always played black. But I think a lot of that is, I'm a long-term-ish thinker. Like, if I had to play time chess,
would say so.
if I had to play time chess, I would be absolutely horrendously terrible, right?
No way!
But when I have time to just mull over a decision because I get to see my opponents move one day, and I have a full 24 hours to think about it, and I can just sit there, and like I can let the turn mull over my head for a full day, and I come to like the absolute best solution that is thinking like 20 turns ahead, and it is like
Daily Move Chess is the most Andy game I've ever heard of in my entire life.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Give him unlimited, or is it you have to make a move per day? Or can you take like a
so
week?
if you waited too long, well, you could postpone. So you could you send your opponent an alert like, hey, can we postpone? And if they say yes, it would postpone to a certain date. Otherwise, if you don't make your move by a certain time, you forfeit.
Okay, I was going to say if they gave Andy unlimited time. But
I think I only
You
had
never move.
I think I only ever had two opponents that forfeited by default. Some people forfeit because they realize they're going to lose, or it's going to take it's going to take 30 days for me to figure out I'm going to lose. I already know I'm going to lose. Resign.
right.
But
I guess I didn't.
I felt really. I had one game, and it was against because this like all sorts of different online chess ranking systems has the points rankings,
right.
and you can roughly equate those to player skill level. And in this format, really long-term thinking skill level. I was playing against someone who was like 1,000 points higher than me. And it was the proudest game I ever played because sort of like move 36, which is sort of mid to late game. Some games go out to 60 plus, and that's 36 moves on either side. I figured out, and it took me like the entire day after his move, figured out with only, I think, I had a queen and one other piece on the board, and he had his queen and something else on the board in addition to his king. And I figured out a 13 long move sequence of constantly checking him, and there was no way he could avoid me checkmating him if I went through that 13 move sequence. It was literally impossible because every time I made a move, he only had one move to make that was legal, but he could move.
Until
yeah, and so I played out that full sequence. The guy did not resign all the way to the end.
wow,
And I was really proud that I figured out that far ahead that sequence at that point.
you would be. I know I said this before the podcast, but Stratego would be an interesting game for you.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know anything about Stratego, or other?
Do I get a day to
hashtag?
make a decision?
You don't get a day,
Oh,
unfortunately,
shit. Not
unless
my
you play
No, he's not
Stratego
gonna
on
play.
the.
He's not
For
going to play.
anybody listening to this podcast that doesn't personally know Andy, Andy is kind of notorious when we play word games for taking goddamn forever on his turns. Yeah. If you don't have that feeling from listening to his conversation about chess right there, Oh man, yeah.
Here's the thing with me and games in general. If it's something that requires thinking, I take a lot of time. If it's something that requires Twitch reaction, I take 0 time. And there's nothing in between.
There's nothing. Yeah. See, I can calculate pretty well, but I don't usually spend the time to go, like, you know, okay, what's my opponent going to do 16 moves from now?
So, strategy, take a long time. Twitch, no time. How are you with sex?
I don't want to know this.
I want to know this.
Well, I spend a long time planning it out.
And then you last 1 second.
No.
No, less than that.
Alright.
Stratego. But Stratego. Speaking of sex, Stratego.
Sextego.
Sextego. Stratego is interesting because it's kind of like chess, insofar as, like, you know, I have a bunch of pieces, you have a bunch of pieces, and we have the same types of pieces. But in Stratego, you can like, imagine if you could take chess, but rather than having to put all your pawns in front and your rooks, you know, where they go and all that, you could rearrange where they are, and your opponent can't see what they are. Because that's the whole thing about Stratego. It's like, you set up your army, and they are only facing you. So the only way to figure out what your opponent has is by attacking them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But every piece has a number on it, and the higher the number, the better chance. So if I have a 9, you have a 4, and my 9 attacks your 4, I take your 4. You know, and so that's how it kind of works. But there are specialty pieces that have, you know, special abilities. Basically, like, oh, the 10 is the highest number. How do you beat him? Well, there's a few guys that have special abilities that work against him and stuff like that. But the whole thing is it's capture the flag. So your flag is basically your king. And if I take your flag, which can be taken by any piece, I win the game. But you can't move the flag. Yeah. So it's about, like, trying to figure out, like, okay, where, like, attacking them and just figuring out, like, where have they hidden the flag, where, while at the same time protecting them. It's an interesting game. But I'd be interested to see how you would do in it, because I imagine you'd take a decent amount of time, but you can't see everything that your opponent has. You have to take, like, you do have to guess to a certain extent, based on the pieces that you've taken and what you've been attacked by. Because if I attack you with a 9, and, you know, I take your piece, you know where my 9 is.
Yeah.
You know? I just played it for the first time the other day, and I really like it.
And you've been trying to play
I've been trying to talk somebody into playing this game with me for friggin' forever.
You know what game takes a long time for me?
Twilight Imperium.
Well, yeah. Okay. But I did finally, the last couple times we played that, I did, you know, figure it out to the point where I at least have my moves planned ahead of time, make all my moves.
The nice thing about Twilight Imperium
but then I wouldn't pay attention to all the people's turns before me, and then I would have to replan every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, because the nice thing about Twilight Imperium is if you want to play a focus game, and I'll keep this short for people who don't know what Twilight Imperium is, other people's turns take so long, even if they're playing them efficiently, that you have plenty of time to think about what you're gonna do during your turn. So, theoretically, the game can
That's why I like going last.
Pace. Yeah.
To some extent.
Or I like going first and just kind of waiting it out. It is what it is. Enough about Twilight Imperium. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, a game much more complicated than chess is Go.
Like red light, green light?
No.
Oh. Like, I know, I'm really good at red light, green light.
Like the Chinese game played on a 19 by 19 grid board, where you place the white and black stones.
Okay.
And it's...
Mancala?
No.
Mahjong?
Yeah. But how it works, and it's a bit interesting. So, like Western games, you often have pieces inside of the squares, as in chess.
Yeah.
With a game like Go, you actually play the pieces on the vertices where they cross, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it in its own way.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. So how that game works is each player can place a piece anywhere on the board, and you alternate going back and forth, and that piece stays there permanently unless it's captured, and the only way it can be captured is if it and every other piece of its type, and it has to be a solid block, there can't be a hole in it, is completely surrounded by enemy pieces. And so all it is really, it's a 19 by 19 war simulation of placing troops one at a time on a board. And the way you win is by controlling the most territory at the very end of the game when no one has any legal moves left.
Well, there's
It's absurd. And like chess for the longest time was thought to be like, there's no way a computer can ever, either beat a human at chess, although that sort of happened, although it's kind of fake. But there's no way that we can calculate all the possibilities in chess. We're now able to pretty much do it. This is a game where there are more possible moves in a single game than there are observable atoms in the universe. Because it's 19 by 19 grid, and every turn there is no set piece. You can put a piece anywhere on that grid. And depending on where previous pieces were placed, things can change.
Let's just do 100 by 100.
Yeah, you know what? Let's
fuck it.
There are smaller versions. You can play a 16 or 15 by 15 grid or a 13 by 13 grid. There's also a
1 by 1.
I think it's 11 by 11. I don't remember.
I could be wrong, and somebody can go to Wikipedia and correct me on this one. But Stratego, actually, just going back to Stratego, I want to say that game actually had some sort of inspiration for Stratego. There's a bunch of old games from China and a couple other places in the world that influenced. Stratego didn't come out till I think 19 something, but
yeah, Go is the modern version of it. But I think it dates back, even its current rule set has changed a little bit over time. But it is, I think, the oldest board game in the world as well.
That's saying something. Because there's some old board games. I don't see, that would be all I would do if I lived in the past, was just be board games. Because I can't imagine what else to do to pass time,
Yeah. And there were professional Go players. That was their only, even thousands of years ago, there were professional Go players. That's all they did. They were so good that they would tutor emperors. Because, it's basically battle strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
In a very simplified form compared to Battlefield.
Was it always called Go?
Yeah, Battlefields are...
It wasn't called Go in Chinese. It's the modern variation is called Go. There's a variation of it called Othello, which is using the same pieces but different rules format in the modern as well. And I think it was originally called something else, but I don't know what it is.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like an interesting game, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to play against you, Andy.
Oh no, and
I do want to do something with my life.
I've never even tried to play a full 19 by 19 board, because the games take forever.
And if Andy's saying that...
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about it is, it's a the nice thing about it is a game with so many possible moves that I know it's not feasible to try to think out all of them. Mm-hmm. So, it's actually, professional Go players tend to play it artistically, if that makes any sense. There's no way to predict everything that's going to happen, so you have to have kind of a feel for the board, where there can be sort of a semi-battle over here and a semi-battle over here, where you're trying to race around your opponent's pieces, and then all of a sudden one of the Go players will just throw a piece right between the middle of the two of them that's way far away from both bunches. But later in the game, that becomes a key piece that connects something else he was trying to do across the board.
Wow.
Where if he hadn't had that there's no way he could possibly do it. And there's that sort of forethought, but a lot of it is just, I feel like this will be a good position to hold on the board. So you put a piece there so that you can connect it to things in the future.
We learned this from Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart and the pieces.
Yeah. Heart, that's what Yu-Gi always said. Heart of the pieces.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he would pull out
his
rock, and he would go, bloop, and throw it in the pond, and he'd make a wish. And, there was I didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Lightning, what game would you say that you were best at? You ever played Go? No? Alright, well, no Go, I guess.
For a very brief time, I was very obsessed with the thought of Go and played the miniaturized board versions online with like the 2-minute timers and stuff. It's pretty fun, but because it's super popular in Asia and Japan, etc., there are a ton of people in the world that are really good at it. I never won a game. It's one of those games. It's just it's such a difficult learning curve of recognizing when you're in a bad position or recognizing. And actually, a big part of Go is in the full 19x19 game. Almost every game is won or lost by resignation because they've gotten far enough into the game that they realize there's no way I can control more territory than my opponent, and they resign. Just realizing that takes a lot of skill, and it's why there's like in karate, you have dawn levels for reaching certain ranks of beyond black belt, what we would consider to be like 5th level black belt or whatever, those kinds of things. In Go, there are dawn levels all the way up to the best player in the world.
And then that player fights another player for the headband. Sorry, I was also watching Samurai.
Yeah.
Afro Samurai. Samurai Afro.
Samurai Afro.
Samurai Afro.
Good one.
Well, it kind of works like that because it depends on where it is in the world, but there's usually people that hold titles. So the title, it may be something like the King or something, and you can hold multiple titles at the same time, but the only way to win a title is to play a 3-day series long game, the same game, back and forth with 30-minute move times. Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd. It's to play him a series of 7 or 9 of those games, and if you win the majority of them at any time, then you take his title.
Yes, and then you cut his head off. And sorry, Afro Samurai.
I was thinking Highlander.
That goes everyone. Go. Going to the whole Asian games. I've been watching a lot of professional StarCraft 2 play lately.
Gosh.
Oh,
that's
man.
a hell of a strategy game.
Yeah, that's a hell of a strategy. Man. Now that I have a good computer, I love playing strategy games now and stuff, but there's something about watching, I really enjoy games like Rome 2, Civilization 5, and I absolutely love StarCraft. The level that people play professional StarCraft, compared to my own skill, is so,
it's crazy.
Oh, there's this guy I'm watching, and he's playing games, and, he does the whole scare cam thing, and, and you can hear over his microphone his keyboard. Oh my god, just the constant clicks and the typing and the hotkeys and all that, I'm like, this is,
That's the point where they track how many clicks per second, and they have to have so many, or else they're not being productive enough.
Oh yeah, I'd believe it. And just all the meta game to it, and
Did you buy it yet?
No, I was thinking about it, the StarCraft 2. It's $40 and I'm kind of broke right now. I was kind of hoping it would be, I would get Heart of the Swarm being a little bit more expensive, the expansion, and maybe have a cheaper kind of jumping in cost.
I'm surprised they don't have a lower jumping in cost.
Yeah. They have the first 5 levels for free, and maybe even the multiplayer is free. I could be wrong. But
no, there might be, because I remember seeing that somewhere.
But I really want to play the campaign.
Yeah.
Too, because the campaign's really fun. But
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but if the multiplayer's free, maybe I'll jump in. I mean, crap, if the multiplayer's free, that could be a fun video.
Yeah.
I've played the multiplayer 2 or 3 times, and I have just gotten absolutely thrashed every single time. Just, so bad. I'm thinking I'm doing okay, and then some unit, group of units just shows up, as soon as I've built, my 3rd building, and just wipes me off the map.
Yeah, I was that way in StarCraft and Warcraft 3. I was do alright, and then eventually I just started doing the custom player games.
See, I like playing with friends against computers over playing against people who actually know what they're doing. I don't have that level of skill.
I remember that in StarCraft, looking for the player versus computer games.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically those type of games, just because
Well, I used to play the original StarCraft computer all the time with our special guest last week, who no one will hear, and another friend. The only problem is you do start to catch on to what the AI does and this little thing. Like in StarCraft Original, I don't know if it's gotten any better in StarCraft 2, but like StarCraft Original, if you don't if you can outlast your opponent for like a certain amount of time, the AI just doesn't know what to do in the late game, and it just kind of gives up.
Yeah, it stops trying to end game and
early game, super aggressive, crazy. Mid game, okay, it's still kind of crazy. Late game, stops building things, stops trying to expand.
Right. I liked waiting out in Warcraft 3 because it was really fun building the towers and having like a gauntlet that they'd have to run through. And like being the night elves with the movable trees, or like the moon wells, and hide a bunch of archers by them, and like I had more fun doing that than like going out and fight. So I'd always build a crazy fortress.
I've realized that sort of play kind of actually threw off my ability. Because nowadays, when I play strategy games, I play very fast, very aggressive. I use like quick moving units and things like that, and it's so counter to the way that I learned from playing StarCraft, which StarCraft does build up your army, outlast your opponent, and then throw your army at them.
Right.
At least what you would learn playing against a computer. But nowadays, just the way that I play games, I just go fast and just throw as much at my opponent at a time as I can. Whether that's any more of a valid strategy, I don't know. But I play a lot more offensively.
I think both are.
Yeah.
It's the
best offense is good defense. Best defense is good offense.
Yeah, I was thinking the unstoppable force, immovable object.
Yeah. Hulk versus Juggernaut.
Yeah.
But yeah, those professional games are absolutely insane
crazy
to watch. And I don't even know. I've played the campaign of StarCraft 2. I've maybe logged 8 hours in it tops over at a friend's house. And I was playing it on easy mode too, just so I could get through the campaign. And so when I'm watching those professional guys play, I don't really know what's going on, other than my knowledge of StarCraft 1. But there's just something about watching people who are good at something do something like that that's just automatically engaging.
Yeah.
Like I remember a teacher in high school. He was teaching us. It was like the last day of school, so he didn't have to do anything real. So he taught us about fishing. Mr. Garcia. And I remember being completely enthralled because he knew a lot about fishing and he, was passionate about it. So it was an interesting thing, So I don't know. That's what I see with the professional StarCraft guy.
Yeah.
Here is somebody that's really good at something, kind of showing it off,
And a lot of games like that, MOBAs in general too, are nice to watch when you see someone who plays really well, and especially when you play and you're like, I want to do that good.
No, see, I don't want to watch any Smite footage because I don't want to spoil the story.
Ah, yeah, the story. They have a new cinematic trailer. It actually looked alright, but it was really short.
See the Valve movie for Dota?
Yeah, free to play.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it, but I saw that it was you download it rather than stream it.
You can download it. I think you can stream it. But you can also watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I was thinking about
it's available. It's available in a lot of different places. But it's really interesting that they did a documentary about Dota players, basically.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a feature film. About professional gaming in Dota. And Dota's...
Well, that was for $1 million too, which is crazy.
Yeah. And it's really... It's kind of interesting, and if you've seen a lot of Twitch, games in which are popular at any given time, and what's streamed,
League.
it's almost all League, Dota, and a few other MOBAs, but that are always the top. The only exceptions are when there's a Counter-Strike tournament with the best players in the world, in which case that surpasses everything for that brief period of time. Then
or maybe
a
game the first day it comes out might peak. Twitch plays Pokemon peaked for a while.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about, and I do find that interesting that people really want to watch MOBA play, and I guess StarCraft 2 also, because StarCraft's generally
it's generally up there.
Yeah,
it's really interesting that strategy games in general. I don't know. I'm not sure why that is.
Well, maybe strategy. There's more going on, so it's more interesting. Because I know I'm more
sort of the everybody can find something interesting about it.
Yeah.
You might learn something, and sometimes the Twitch chat is nice to get into, and there'll be contests, or
I should say too, games like League and Dota, I feel like have a bigger following, also than like Counter-Strike and things like that. I'm surprised, honestly, that Call of Duty's not up there more though, because Call of Duty's like massive following.
Well, it's because it's all PC streaming, and there's not a lot of Call of Duty players
that makes
on
sense.
PC.
Yeah.
Although now there will be console streaming, so more of that stuff will show up.
Oh my god! Speaking of console streaming, have you guys experienced the greatest thing about the newest gen of consoles, which is the PlayStation live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard stories.
Oh.
I've seen it.
Oh my god!
Heard
So,
stories.
our friend Bramble Parrow has a PlayStation 4, and every once in a while, I'll be over at his house, and we're bored, and he just gives me the PlayStation 4 controller, expecting me to play, like, Metal Gear Solid, he's got some games on his PS4. I immediately go to PlayStation Livestream and just start watching the dumbest things I can find. And I saw, and I'm not making this up, I saw a guy streaming Titanfall by aiming his PlayStation Eye at the TV that he had running Xbox One. So this guy owns both consoles and is using one to stream the other. And it was reversed, too, because I was like, oh, that's interesting, his character's left-handed instead of right-handed. Then all of a sudden I noticed that the text was all backwards, and I'm like, so the entire game is just backwards. What's going on?
Yeah. Probably to get around copyright stuff, I don't know.
It could be, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's an option on the PS4.
Oh, it's backwards.
Camera.
It's backwards. It might work.
Well, it makes it less detectable. Although, it's a streamable game anyway, so I don't know why.
Well, but you can't stream it over PlayStation. I mean, that dude had the hookup on, like, man, I love PlayStation live stream, but I really wish I could watch Titanfall.
I wonder if he was just like, I really wish I can stream on my Xbox One, but I can't yet, so gonna use the...
Yeah, right? It looked awful, because it was...
I'm sure.
He didn't even, like, frame it in a nice way, either. Like, it was just like, here's my TV. And here... I thought it was Call of Duty at first, but it was, it was Titanfall.
Speaking of awful, there's been some pretty bad Pokemon ones on Twitch, where the guy just has a camera looking at his thing. It's like...
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a huge... I mean, I watch Red Super, and I've watched it for a long time, and yeah, there's so many of those. Just camcorder LPs are just bad. That's just a rule of thumb. There are a few people who have kind of framed things well and done things well, and I use quotation marks with that, but like, oh god, they're not a good route. But it's interesting that there are people who stream, because you were saying that you do Pokemon tournaments too.
Yeah.
And the guy is somehow able to stream from his
DS. Yeah, cord. I can't remember what kind.
Because you don't see that very often.
Yeah, and it's in... Yeah, and I know Nintendo doesn't generally like that stuff, so it's like...
Yeah, Nintendo
they're letting this happen on Twitch? They haven't...
Well, Nintendo's had a lot of backlash about their attempts to...
shut down stuff. They did that.
They didn't. Well, they didn't. The thing about it is they didn't shut down things. They just said, okay, if I did a Ocarina of Time LP or something, and I put ads on it, or even if I didn't put ads on it, instead of me being able to gain, Nintendo basically put ads on people's Nintendo Let's Plays. So now you couldn't get money from it, but Nintendo was. People got really upset about that.
Huh.
And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting thing. Because on the one hand, like this guy did make this, he edited it, he lended his personality to it. But on the other hand,
it's
Nintendo. Like they made the game and everything. It's their property, and I think in the license agreements and stuff, like, you're not allowed to make money.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something in the
I don't think there's really any of those that you're really allowed to make money off of it.
There's a lot of stuff in that EULAs in general that they can come out and say, like, oh yeah,
EULAs?
Yeah, it's the user something
user license agreement?
Yeah.
Well, and I've read, like, the Microsoft one pretty in depth, because I worked on a Halo machinima. Still do. And, called Weapons of War. Go check it out, people. Woo woo! Woo woo! Wow wow! And yeah, and so I read that pretty in depth just to make sure that we weren't breaking any copyright laws.
I think they do leave some stuff in there that where if they need to say something, they will. But Nintendo, I thought, took down stuff, or
I heard that they took down some stuff, but it was more from where I heard it from, it was more of an overreaction than was necessarily needed.
Right.
But Let's Plays have become such a big thing that, yeah, I think Nintendo is going to be more reluctant before they would take down something like that.
Okay. Didn't they try like closing? I know like some people had a hard time getting like a Super Smash Brothers tournament going.
I don't know anything about that.
There was, I don't remember how the story went. So.
But you were going to say?
I also did want to mention that they, on Twitch, at one point, featured a Counter-Strike player as the front page, landing page. It's the only reason I noticed him, because Counter-Strike usually doesn't show up much, who has no limbs.
What?
How does he Counter-Strike?
He has...
With his mind?
He has like a nub in which he can... And he has like a high table next to him, which is right at armpit, and he basically plays it with his nub and keyboard, which is modified keyboard that he can use, and he plays Counter-Strike better than I do.
Wow.
And by no limbs, I mean no limbs. He has no legs either. And it's really funny because he'll, like, in between matches, he'll be, like, eating pizza off a plate, and then he'll come back and he'll pick up his mouse with his armpit and drop it back down on the mat, and, like...
Oh, so he... Armpit, mouse...
He can actually... Well, he'll reposition his mouse by pulling it off the table, picking it up with his armpit, and setting it back up. Like...
What?
And every device he had was wireless. He also put his headphones on while I was watching, which was pretty impressive, because they were, like, sitting on a lamp.
Right.
And so he went over, got it, sort of...
With his head.
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly, because he obviously can't reach up above his head, right?
Right.
So it's literally all his head movement, and I think using the lamp itself to put him on.
Yeah.
Which was really impressive. I mean, we're talking full-size headphones, the ones that are kind of hard to get on.
Yeah, those like the Turtle Beach kind of things.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive.
What's his other arm do? Keyboarding?
Yeah.
Is it WASD with his other note?
Yeah. You can't see, but you can tell he's using it. But it is a custom setup keyboard where all the different shortcuts for things are closed. But the way he, like, weapon switches and stuff, it's just fast. It's hard
Does
to
he
say.
do anything by voice?
No, nothing by voice.
Wow.
He does. He does also have his controls set up to where it's hard for him to screw something up. So at one point, someone was commenting in chat like, "Oh, he's stuck on that ledge. He doesn't have jump controls set up at all because he can't use them." And he noticed that in the Twitch chat on his other screen, and he very quickly went into the menu and jumped to something, and then jumped for the entire next match continuously as he was fighting, and did really well. He ended up in a 2-on-1 battle at the end where he's playing against the terrorists who'd already on the bomb in Counter-Strike. And he ended up taking both of them out and defusing the bomb while jumping.
Just to prove he can jump, even though he doesn't really need it.
No, and it wasn't that he was like stuck continuously jumping. He just chose to jump the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't have jump bound before because he didn't need it?
Yeah, most Counter-Strike maps, there's no place you need to jump. And anytime you're jumping or doing a fast movement, your bullet spread is wider. So jumping is generally not advised for any reason, except for, like, escaping over, like, certain areas or barriers, which are pretty rare in Counter-Strike that you can even jump over. So, really, in Counter-Strike, you almost never need to jump.
Just like in real combat, you probably wouldn't be jumping around.
I love the ability to jump in my games.
Yeah.
I have, like, some feeling of control.
Well, Counter-Strike is very much a click once and they die game. So
yeah.
That's such a metaphor.
It's all about the headshot.
That's such a metaphor for, like, you can do anything in your life. Like, I have all of my limbs, and I am awful at Counter-Strike. And there's this guy, and he has no limbs, and he can play Counter-Strike. My God, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Then, like, that's
it really is pretty inspirational. Also, he has a very funny, I'm going to call it a gamer tag, even though it isn't gamer tag per se. But his Twitch channel is called Handy. with an eye. So it's pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
Initially, I was thinking Mind Quad from American Dad. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, not a clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, the no arms, no legs dude. He was always like in the hospital, and then he starts moving things with his mind, and then goes off on a motorcycle randomly. This is the middle of an episode, completely random. He's like, Mind Quad, and then go to commercial.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
I've seen a decent amount of American Dad. I haven't seen that one.
They did it once, and it was the episode where the son has the PTSD something, where it's the reenactment post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's in the hospital.
At the golf course.
Yeah. So then he's in the hospital afterwards, and
Flash.
or whatever, and then that's where Mind Quad is. And then in a later episode, Mind Quad comes back again, and then it goes Mind Quad, and then
That's
it's pretty good.
Well, hopefully he'll be the next. Now that Cleveland show's over, might as well make it Mind Quad, right?
I would probably watch it because his limbs didn't get blown off; they got blown in.
Mind Quad, all right.
That's how they explained it, anyways, in the brief. Like,
Yeah.
Oh God, this didn't even make sense.
I don't know.
Oh man, yeah. I'm still on the limbless guy playing Counter-Strike. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's good.
Because again, I am awful at Counter-Strike. But maybe it's because I jump all the time. Because I do jump all the time.
Yeah. Jumping is not good in that game. I figured that out pretty quickly.
I figured that out just now.
If you, and I don't think it's set up by default, but you can make it so the reticle goes wider when you're less accurate, variable, and then you can tell what makes it wider, and when you jump, it becomes like most of your screen. Like,
wow.
You could shoot almost anywhere. The idea being that if you were really a jumping soldier trying to aim a gun in the air is kind of difficult.
Yeah, extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy Counter-Strike, but I think I get a whole 30 seconds of gameplay any match unless I hide behind something the entire time. Because I died pretty much immediately.
It's all about a quick reflex and picking the right weapons.
Yeah, the right weapons. Yeah.
And not picking weapons too early as well. If you can get through, second round in the match with just pistol and knife still, you're doing pretty good.
Well, and there's the whole thing to that game, too, where it's like, if you have your knife out, you technically run faster than, when you have a gun out and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, props to whoever figured that out, which is probably not very difficult to figure out, because it's a considerable movement speed. Whereas if we watched that Resident Evil 4 tool-assisted speedrun, if you run with a grenade out, you run 4.6% faster.
What?
Yeah, that's a thing. Apparently.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what math exactly went into that. Oh, and it's really great because it's grenade and it's also rocket launcher. You run faster with the rocket launcher.
Not with the rocket launcher out, with it on your back, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, on your back if it's equipped, you run faster with it. Yeah. Because if you pull it over your shoulder, you're aiming it to try to kill something. So.
Right. That's so weird.
I assume that has something to do with, this is explosive damage. We want players to be able to get away from it. That makes sense for the grenade, where you throw a grenade, and the idea is that speed bonus probably is still there because you have the same weapon slot open, so you can get away from it. Rocket launcher doesn't make sense, though.
Now, you've never... Oh, have you played Resident Evil 4 before?
I've never played Resident
Evil 4. You've never played? Okay, so that answers my question of whether you beat it. What did you think of that speedrun?
I think it's interesting. I think it sort of proves, because this was a frame perfect run through, computer assisted, so it's not like there could potentially be a faster way, but it was very well thought through how it was done. What impressed me the most was that there were only 3 places where you could wall glitch through some place to get to the end of the level, which is the sign of a pretty well-designed game that you can't take advantage of it more than that. Right,
yeah, because we were talking about it, because there are probably other places that you can wall glitch, it's just apparently not worth it.
Yeah, and it's impressive that the game is designed well enough that, there aren't that many places where you can shortcut it.
Though, that said, I thought it was pretty great that the dude just ran past pretty much every enemy in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. Do you know what a tool-assisted speedrun is?
I think I can understand it from the name, but...
So, what it is that you can go... you're pretty much going frame by frame and choosing... Like, you're playing the game, and if you
basically have the game render in slow motion, and you just click frame by frame forward going through it. That's sort of the idea.
So you're kind of doing the perfect thing,
okay, gotcha.
theoretically.
Yeah. Which means that you're able to run between enemies that are swinging at you and they miss by a pixel.
Yeah, and so if you got hit, you would reverse it, like you go back
and then just slightly turn or jitter just enough for them to miss and keep going, and otherwise run a perfect line.
Yeah, and so like
that'd be great for Dark Souls.
Yeah, right. I bet tool-assisted speedrun of Dark Souls is terrifyingly fast. In Resident Evil, there's a thing in Resident Evil 4 where if you shoot an enemy in the head, sometimes if it's enough damage, their head will explode. But that in the beginning of the game, that's really helpful. But towards like a couple hours in, it's actually a liability because pretty much 90% of the time, if you shoot a guy in the head and their head explodes, a parasite monster comes out and they actually become more of a threat than they were before. But there's like a 10% chance that you'll shoot them in the head and their head will just explode and they're dead. But if you're going frame by frame and looking for that perfect thing, every shot that he goes to kill is a headshot. Guy's head explodes, no parasite. Like it's just a perfect.
So it's like a combination of perfect line running, perfect shooting, perfectly accurate, perfect speed, and perfect luck.
Yeah, just perfect.
Right, because you can reset and
because if the parasite comes out, you just try it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting for what I still kind of like normal speedruns a little bit more, but tool assisted. I mean, this is theoretically as fast as someone could get through the game.
That does make me wonder what a Dark Souls would look like.
We could probably watch it after this. It's probably only 20 minutes long.
At least, yeah.
At least,
at most. I mean,
no. I mean, it's probably. I want to say the record's 40 minutes, but I could be wrong.
But I have a feeling you can get through a lot of bosses and stuff by barely missing their attack and then hitting them in the butt and then missing and hitting, and it's that's half the problem is I just barely got hit and then you have to wait for their whole rotation to go through and then try again.
Yeah, no. Just imagine playing Dark Souls as perfectly as possible.
Yeah,
what do you think, Lightning? What do you think of it? Have you seen this the tool-assisted Final Fantasy speedrun? Nothing? Alright. Well, I think this is probably a good spot to end the podcast on. Yep. Thanks for joining us, Lightning. Any last words? Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I will...
I've been Andy.
I do not have a catchphrase.
Okay.
I like that. I've been Andy.
Yeah. Everyone's going to use that now?
Yep, that's the ending.
I've been Andy.
No, I've been Andy.
I've been Andy.
I've been Andy.
I've been Andy.
I've been Andy.